What's going on YouTube? Bottom tier collector here. I'm so excited to be making this video. As of tonight, I'm going to be releasing this video tonight, 5/31/21. It's a Monday. Tomorrow will be new comic book day for you DC fans, June the 1st, 2021. And you already know by the title, Lobo and Crush, that 8-issue miniseries releases tomorrow. If you don't know me outside of the channel, or you're new to the channel, some people in the community kind of know, and obviously my friends outside the channel know. Lobo is my goat, my Bret Hart, the best there will be, the best there ever was, the best there is. I butchered that, but you know what I mean. And so I'm just so excited for this miniseries. I'm so excited. In fact, I have vacation time in tomorrow. I'll be getting off in half a day, and I'll be headed to my LCS when they open, and I'm getting every cover my store has. Then I'm going to spend a little bit of the day roaming the area, because I'm not sure that I'm going to be getting there's two 1 in 25 variant covers that's going to be released tomorrow, and I'm not sure my LCS is going to have every cover. And so we're blessed in this area. We have a handful of stores, and I'm going to head over to the two that I know once I get done with my LCS, if I don't have every cover. If not, I'll just head over those LCSs anyways, and maybe dollar bin hunt or something. But yeah, the purpose of this video, so I had this video in mind anyways, but then I saw a video from No Good Comics. He was doing top 10 comics to read for this coming week. He released it last week, and his number 10 was Lobo and Crush, which is awesome. I was very excited to see someone else interested in a character that I just love. And he said he didn't know much about Lobo. He was just going to try the character out, and so it just got me even more motivated to give this primer video out. Put it out, for you guys to kind of learn a little bit. And I'm going to try to make a quick and dirty primer video. It's going to be a little long, surely not over 20 minutes, but hopefully I can just hit everything in a concise manner, and it be a very digestible primer. So we'll just start off with the basics. There are several iterations of Lobo. The first iteration of Lobo, he was created as a throwaway bad guy. I mean, he appeared in multiple issues in this series called Omega Men. But he was initially created by Roger Slifford and Keith Giffen, just to be kind of a throwaway kind of character. And you can find Lobo's first appearance in Omega Men number 3 from 1983. And everything, it's good for historical context. If you want to hunt down, there's like 7 appearances. We won't go over them. There's only like 7 appearances in this series, and just as a historical context, if you want to read that stuff, go ahead. But it is no longer canon, because in 1984 or 1985, Marv Wolfman and George Perez got together and created what is largely considered the first ever comic book event, that basically just a universe-wide storyline. It affected the entire DC line, and they attempted to fix all of the continuity from the Golden, Silver, Bronze Ages, and kind of mold it all into one linear storyline for the Copper Age and into the future. And inside of that, Lobo post, and the event was called Crisis on Infinite Earths. Excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. A lot of DC fans consider that the point if you want to go back to where a lot of continuity started at, you want to start at this Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then just read forward. Of course, things have changed. That's been 30, 40 years ago, coming up on 40 years anyways. So, read at your own risk. But post Crisis on Infinite Earths, Lobo was reimagined into what he is now known and loved as in Justice League International 18. This is the first appearance of what I call Biker Lobo. So the first iteration of Lobo, he just, again, that throwaway character. He was from a planet called Valorpia. He's a Valorpian, and I believe Scions. I'm just kind of spitballing. I haven't read that origin in quite some time because it's not canon. It doesn't matter anymore. But Scions came and like killed off his planet, and then he escaped somehow, I think, became a bounty hunter. Well, anyways, in the accepted, beloved version of Lobo, here's Lobo right here. For those of you who don't know, this is Guy Gardner. He's from the planet Zarnia, and Zarnians are a peace-loving race. They're gray-toned and highlighted by blue, although sometimes Lobo has been colored in blue. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And Lobo was the one bad egg that the planet Zarnia had. He was reckless. He caused all kinds of chaos. And eventually he got to a point where he didn't want to be like his fellow Zarnians. He wanted to be different from them. And he did that, but he got old enough to create this virus in a science experiment, and he unleashed it on the world and killed all of the Zarnians. He became the only Zarnian. He committed mass genocide. It sounds terrible, but it's important to know when Lobo was reinvented, he was reinvented to be a parody of over-the-top violence, because that's what was popular at the time, was characters like Cable and Deadpool and Wolverine. And DC was also creating violent characters like Vigilante. Punisher was pretty big in the 80s, and Lobo was created to kind of parody that, although it semi-backfired, even though it became a profitable backfire, a good backfire. Lobo actually became very popular in the 90s. But it is just important for that context when you think about his origin story, that he's supposed to be a parody. He's not supposed to be taken seriously. It's supposed to be funny that his backstory is so absurd and violent and stupid. And you can find his origin story inside of his first ongoing series, just titled Lobo. It's a 4-issue miniseries from like 1990. You don't need to know, you don't need to have read this issue. You can just go into that 4-issue miniseries blind and read it, and you'll have everything you need to know about Lobo. Or you can also pick up his 0 hour, it's not a one-shot, it's actually an annual from his 64 issue ongoing in the mid-90s. And again, this issue just covers his origin, so you don't need to know anything about Lobo. You don't need to have read anything prior to this issue. Again, I think it's Lobo number 0, but it'll have a 0 hour header because it's part of the 0 Hour event, but you don't need to read 0 Hour to know what's going on in that issue. And so we'll cover Crush now. Crush is Lobo's daughter, and she is, we don't know what half of her is. We're more than likely going to find out what half of her biology is in this miniseries. That's one reason I'm so pumped about this miniseries. We're going to be finding out a lot more about Crush in this miniseries, at least I hope. And she's a relatively new character. We're still fleshing her out. We're still figuring out a lot about Crush. And you can find her first appearances right here. And I'm holding up 2 different issues because they came out on the same day. This is Teen Titans #1. It's a special. It's in the same series as this. And if you read it in chronological order, this would be the cameo appearance. She appears in the back page, but I think it does reveal her name, full body shot. And then the first full appearance would be this issue right here, Teen Titans 20. This is the Teen Titans series from 2016. I don't want to confuse you guys too much, but DC did a reboot, if you will, of their continuity in 2016 with a one-shot called Rebirth, and they went into the Rebirth era, and this volume of Teen Titans was the series that was in the Rebirth era. Basically, all you need to know, quick and dirty version of that. And here is Crush's origin. This is Teen Titans 25. This is what the cover looks like. I think there's some variants. But that's the cover A, the first print cover A. And basically, I don't want to spoil too much. I'd love for you to read this issue. But basically, Crush is jettisoned to Earth via Superman, Supergirl, or even Goku for all you anime fans out there. She's jettisoned to Earth in a spaceship. She's sent along with a sentient chain and meat hook. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Lobo's main weapon of choice is a big metal chain he wraps around his wrist, and at the end of it is a meat hook. And he will hook people and impale them and rip them open, and it's pretty gruesome sometimes. And so there's a context for why she came with a chain and a meat hook. But what makes her chain and meat hook different is that it is sentient. It can come to her at will, at her command, and it's something we've not seen before. I'm hoping in this miniseries we'll find out why this chain and meat hook is sentient, why it can think for itself. But she was discovered by some drug abusing hippies, and they're just throughout her adolescence she spends time running away from drug lords and landlords with her parents, her adoptive parents, and somehow, some way, she finds her way into the Teen Titans. It's a pretty interesting and quite tragic origin story. I would encourage you to pick that up and read it as you're reading the miniseries. And now that we've covered Lobo and Crush, I'm going to try and give the quick and dirty overarching story that's leading into this miniseries. So I mentioned already that DC kind of did a, I don't want to say a hard reboot. It was kind of a soft reboot called Rebirth in 2016. And Lobo was rebooted in Rebirth. He was butchered between 2011 and 2016, he was reimagined. You'll hear him referred to as Twilight Lobo, Sexy Lobo, whatever you want to call him. Just know that between 2011 and 2016, there was a gap in continuity called the New 52, and Lobo was a completely different character in that era, and he was brought back to his roots in the Rebirth era. And he was brought back in a series called Justice League versus Suicide Squad. It's basically a series where Eclipso comes and does his thing. Eclipso attempts to take over the minds of the Justice League and the Suicide Squad. And there's a character, if you've seen Wonder Woman 84, Maxwell Lord is from that movie. Maxwell Lord is in Justice League versus Suicide Squad. And he introduces Task Force X, which is the third team involved in Justice League versus Suicide Squad. And Task Force X, Suicide Squad, and the Justice League have to team together to defeat Eclipso. And at the end of this miniseries, Batman comes to Lobo and asks for... recruits him into the Justice League of America, and Lobo goes to refuse. And I guess it's been a while since I've read this miniseries, but I guess Lobo had already owed him a favor or something, and Batman called him on it. And so Lobo joined the Justice League of America in roughly 2017. It's not important to read this Justice League of America series. It's just important to know that he was in Justice League of America, because if you decide to read this next arc, it is referenced that Lobo was in Justice League of America. But after Justice League of America, I'm trying to gather the timeline here, because I only read like what pertains to Lobo. So there was this event called Metal, and essentially Metal just was the introduction of this dark multiverse within DC. And the heroes did something. They took a big risk. And the way they defeated the bad guy in Metal left a crack in the edge of the prime main continuity universe. And through that crack, that dark multiverse energy reality is like leaking into the main universe. And so it kind of picks back up in a series called No Justice. There's all the covers. It's a 4-issue miniseries. And No Justice is basically where Lex Luthor teams up with Brainiac to stop this universal threat, these 4 Omega Titans, as they're called. And Lex Luthor teams up with Brainiac to stop them, and he gathers up a roster of villains and bad guys. Where have you seen that before? It's not the most original plot. I thought the 4-issue mini was like, whatever. But Lobo was in it, so I read it. And Lobo doesn't take a big part in No Justice, so you really don't have to read it. I can just give you the quick and dirty. Essentially, the Omega Titans come to Earth, and they're about to devour the Earth. And the plan that Superman and all the 4 teams, because each cover is a cover of each team selected to defend the Earth from the Omega Titans. The plan they execute to defeat the Omega Titans splits open that crack even more at the edge of the universe, and even more dark multiverse reality energy, whatever you want to call it, is leaking into the main continuity universe. And so now, post that, Lex Luthor decides that he's going to call upon the villains to help save the universe. He's again building another team. He's going to do it his way and not the hero's way, like he's kind of forced to do in No Justice. And that starts a year-long arc called Year of the Villain, where again it's Lex Luthor recruiting members, villains, to save their universe. And that is, he comes to Lobo, which is what I'm about to show you. About to show you all the issues you need to read. So Lex Luthor comes to Lobo with a mission to destroy the Teen Titans. And at this point, Crush is already in the Teen Titans. And if you want to read this arc and find out what happens and what Lobo does with the Teen Titans, you'll want to read Teen Titans 27, Teen Titans 30, Teen Titans 31, and I have this in chronological order. So that was kind of the prelude. And then here's Year of the Villain. You'll want to start off with the 25-cent Year of the Villain special. Justice League 28. Let me put it over here so I can look at the lens. I like to look at you guys in the eyes, look into your souls as I talk. Teen Titans 32. Justice League 29. Teen Titans 33. Justice League 34. Teen Titans 35. Harley Quinn 67. Yeah, 67. Harley Quinn's Year of the Villain special. I think this is kind of a troll issue. It's just kind of a comedic relief issue, I think. Still Lobo's in it, and it does tie in with this event. Just not something you would have to prioritize if you can't find it at a decent value. This is a variant. This is Teen Titans 36, and then this is Teen Titans 37. So that is the arc you'll need to read, which really does most of the legwork for setting up this miniseries, because Lobo takes this mission to help Lex Luthor. He's one of the villains that decides he does want to work with Lex Luthor to save the universe from this threat that the multiverse presents. And he does go and he meets Lobo, his daughter, and he does screw up the Teen Titans, but I don't want to say too much. I want you to read that arc. But yeah, the first time Lobo and Crush meet up and have a bout, good old father-son dispute, as in that story arc. And then post that, I'll have to dig back here for a second. Okay. So post Teen Titans, Lobo then goes on, and I'm not sure if this is going to have a lot to do with the miniseries, but I'm bringing it up just so that you know what happened to Lobo right before the miniseries. So Lobo ends up being a major player in death metal. This is Death Metal number 1, Death Metal number 2, and Death Metal number 3. This is Lobo's Death Metal one-shot, the Extreme Infinite Hour Extreme Death Metal number 5, and Death Metal number 6. And then there's like a sub issue. This really, Lobo doesn't really do much in this. I don't think this really matters at all. But where's Lobo? Lobo's right here. Yeah, Lobo's right here at the bottom. You can see him. So he's in this issue if you want to read it. And the War of Gods multiverse, dark multiverse tie-in. But you don't have to. And then he's also on the cover. Where's he at? Yeah, he's right here. He's also on the cover of this, the Last 52 War of the Multiverse. This basically fleshes out the big final climactic battle that leads into the final issue of Death Metal. But Lobo's not in the inside, in the interior pages. Just wanted to point that out. But yeah, Lobo is a major player in Death Metal. He teams up with Lex Luthor, essentially to go grab what's called the Death Metal Cube or whatever. And it gives the holder the power to invent an entirely new universe. And that one shot is hilarious. If you don't read anything else in Death Metal, I strongly encourage you to read the Infinite Hour Extreme one shot. I don't want to say too much because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would want you to enjoy it organically like I did. But it was so hilarious. It felt like a 90s Lobo story, and that is a huge compliment for me, somebody that has over 500 issues that with Lobo appearing in them. And then I know the final 2 issues I want to present to you, so I can spit them off the top of my head if I have to, but I like visual aids, so hopefully I can find them right here in my box. Yes, I have them, thank God. So, out of Death Metal, and if you want to figure out what happens, how they save the day, read Death Metal. That's all I'm going to cover about Death Metal. But out of Death Metal, we enter into the new era that we're in now, of Infinite Frontier, I think is what it's called. But between Infinite Frontier and Death Metal, we're given a two-month glimpse into the near future called Future State. And Lobo appears in the Green Lantern Future State #1 issue. He's not a big player at all. In fact, I think he's in the very last page of this book. Essentially, Guy Gardner ends up the leader of a planet. He doesn't even want to be, but he ends up being the religious leader of an alien planet, and they worship him. And gosh, I read the issue one time, and then, like, I guess I info dumped it. But essentially, Lobo just shows up at the end, and he tells Guy Gardner, like, hey, you rebuilt Warriors Bar, which that's a 90s reference. You rebuilt Warriors Bar, and you didn't even invite me. That's a nod to Lobo being in Guy Gardner Warrior from the 90s. And that's basically all it is. A cute little nod to the 90s. I don't know if that is going to have anything to do with this miniseries or Lobo going forward. Just know that was there. Lobo and Guy Gardner interacted in Future State. And then this seems to be huge. I really think this is going to tie in to the miniseries, or the miniseries is going to tie in with this. And this released just last week, I think. And it's Justice League The Last Ride. It's the first issue. This is cover A. Lobo is essentially captured by the Green Lanterns, and he's brought to Justice League headquarters because he's killed the New Gods and the new Union of Planets, basically the UN of the galaxy. They're going to be hunting them, and hunting Lobo and prosecuting him. And so the Green Lanterns brought him to the Justice League because they got to stash him. They got to find a way to protect Lobo and give him fair trial. I think that's mainly what it's about. They're trying to do the right thing and give Lobo fair trial for killing the New Gods. And I think that's going to have a lot to do with this mini-series, because from what I've read in the teasers is that Crush is going to find her father, Lobo, in space prison. And they're going to work out some things. I'm sure they're going to fight and have a confrontation. And I'm hearing Crush's mother will be revealed in this mini-series. And I think this arc is somehow, some way going to tie into that. Whether this continuity takes place after this miniseries or takes place during the miniseries, it's going to be a fun, interesting ride. Sorry I went over 30 minutes. I know a 30-minute video is probably not a good idea from a YouTuber with low production, but that's what it took to do this primer. I hope you stuck with me. If you watched this whole video and you made it to the 32-minute mark, God bless you. I hope if you're interested in Lobo that I did my job in providing some interest. Yeah, he's my favorite character of all time, but I'm not one of those guys that doesn't want to share my favorite character. I would love to see Lobo in the mainstream. I'm definitely not, I don't try to be that cool guy about my favorite character. So if you're interested, I hope I did my job in generating interest for you. I hope I was clear about where we came from and where we're going with this mini series. I'm very hopeful that this mini series is going to be a fun ride. I'm very happy to see Lobo getting some love that he hasn't had in quite some time. Excuse me. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I really do. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe. Please hit the thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, you can unsubscribe and hit the thumbs down. Send me something mean in the comments, or send me some love mail in the comments. Any interaction is much appreciated. And I hope you'll stick around if you like this video. I'm going to sign off here.